The city never sleeps, they say. Neither did Marcus Sterling on the night of his 60th birthday. 2 in the morning found him standing on the terrace of his penthouse, 20 stories above Central Park, watching the February wind shake bare branches in the streetlights below. The champagne glass in his hand had gone warm an hour ago. He could not remember pouring it, could not remember much about the day at all except the silence. No calls, no visits. Just automated messages from his bank and LinkedIn notifications congratulating him on another year of existence. Marcus turned the glass slowly between his fingers. The skyline glittered before him like a promise that someone had forgotten to keep. $500 million in assets. A portfolio that made Wall Street analysts write glowing reports. A penthouse that architectural magazines had featured 3 times. And absolutely no one to share any of it with. The wind cut through his shirt. He did not go inside. 3 years. 3 years since Jennifer had died, and he still set out her coffee mug every morning. Still kept her reading chair exactly as she had left it. A bookmark still pressed between pages 143 of a novel she would never finish. The doctors had given them 6 months after the diagnosis. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. They had gotten exactly 6 months and 2 days. Marcus looked at his reflection in the dark glass of the terrace door. 60 years old, silver in his hair now, lines around his eyes that had not been there when Jennifer was alive. He had been 57 when she died. She had been 57 when the cancer took her. They had spent 30 years together, 25 of them married. They had tried for children. 8 years of specialists and procedures and hope that crumbled a little more each month until they finally stopped trying. And now she was gone and he was 60, and the penthouse felt like a mausoleum. His chest tightened. The same pain that had been coming more frequently during board meetings, during presentations, during the quiet moments when he thought about what he was actually doing with his life. He pressed a hand against his sternum and waited for it to pass. It did, eventually. It always did. Marcus walked back inside and set the untouched champagne on the kitchen counter. The marble gleamed under recessed lighting. Everything in this place gleamed. Everything was perfect and cold and lifeless. His father had died of a heart attack at 55. Marcus was 60 now, 5 years past that invisible line, and he wondered sometimes if he was living on borrowed time. Wondered if the chest pains were a warning. Wondered if he cared enough to do anything about them. The phone on the counter buzzed. A text from Derek Walsh, his business partner for the past 15 years. Happy birthday. Sign the merger docs tomorrow. Biggest win yet. Marcus stared at the message. $50 million. The deal they had been building toward for 2 years. Numbers on a screen that would become larger numbers on a screen. Derek was right. It was their biggest win. Marcus felt nothing. He typed back a single word. Okay? Then he turned off the phone and went to bed, knowing he would not sleep. The alarm sounded at 5. Marcus had been awake since 4:30, staring at the ceiling, thinking about nothing and everything. He rose, dressed in gym clothes, and took the private elevator down to the building's fitness center. His doctor had been clear. High blood pressure, pre-diabetic, 60 years old with the cardiovascular health of someone older, exercise and diet or medication. He had chosen exercise. The treadmill hummed under his feet. 30 minutes, then weights. Then back upstairs to shower and dress and pretend this was a day like any other, breakfast alone at the kitchen island. Financial reports on his tablet. The markets were up. His holdings had increased by another 200,000 overnight. He felt the same emptiness he had felt when it was 100,000. The same emptiness he had felt when it was 10,000. Money had stopped meaning anything except a way to measure time passing. His phone rang. The screen showed Mom. Marcus hesitated, then answered. Patricia Sterling's voice came through, thin and hopeful. Happy birthday, sweetheart. Thanks, Mom. Are you coming to visit today? I made your favorite, pot roast, just like your father used to love. Marcus closed his eyes. His mother was 85, living alone in the same Queens apartment where he had grown up, where his father had died of a heart attack in the living room when Marcus was 18. He had offered to buy her a better place. She had refused. She liked her memories, she said. Liked being able to walk to the corner store where his father had bought her flowers every Friday. I have meetings today, Mom. The merger is tomorrow. Big deal. Silence on the other line. Then quiet and disappointed. You said that last time. I know. I'm sorry. Soon, I promise. You worked too hard, Marcus. Your father worked too hard, too. Look what happened. The old familiar guilt settled in his chest alongside the pain that came and went. I'll visit soon, Mom. I promise. Okay, sweetheart. I love you. Love you too. He ended the call and sat staring at his untouched breakfast. 4 months since he had been to Queens. 4 months since he had sat in that small kitchen and listened to his mother talk about the neighbors, about her church group, about all the small things that made up a life. He had been too busy, too important, too essential to the functioning of Sterling Tech Investments, too empty to face the one person who could see right through him. The car arrived at 8. Marcus rode to the office in silence, watching the city slide past the tinted windows. People on their way to work. People with somewhere to be, something to do, someone waiting for them. He envied them and pitied them in equal measure. Derek was waiting in his office when Marcus arrived. 58 years old, expensive suit, the kind of confidence that came from never doubting yourself. Marcus, happy birthday. Here. He dropped a folder on the desk. The merger documents. Sign these, we close tomorrow. 50 million, this is what we have been working toward. Marcus sat down slowly, opened the folder, pages of legal text that would transfer assets, consolidate holdings, create another layer of wealth he did not need. What is the point, Derek? Derek laughed. The point? $50 million is the point. And then what? Another 50 million? And another after that? Derek's smile faded. He leaned against the desk, studying Marcus with something close to concern. Are you okay? Jennifer and I had all the money we needed. Could not buy her more time. The words hung in the air. Derek shifted uncomfortably. Marcus, you have been off since she died. Maybe you need a vacation. Take some time, go somewhere. To do what? I don't know. Whatever people do on vacation. Relax. Meet someone. Live a little. Marcus looked up at his partner. Derek meant well. Derek had never lost anyone. Derek had a wife and 3 kids and grandchildren and a life that existed outside these walls. Maybe. Derek straightened, uncertain. Look, if you need time to think about this. No, I'll sign tomorrow. You sure? Marcus nodded. Derek left, still looking worried, and Marcus sat alone in his office watching the sun climb higher over Manhattan. What was he doing with his life? The question followed him through the day. Through conference calls and emails and reports that needed reviewing. Through lunch he ate at his desk without tasting. Through an afternoon that felt exactly like every afternoon for the past 3 years. At 6, his assistant reminded him about the Sterling Tech launch party, the Plaza Hotel. Black tie, investors and clients and networking opportunities. Marcus had forgotten. He went anyway. It was expected. The ballroom glittered, chandeliers and champagne and 200 people in evening wear, all of them smiling and laughing and making deals. Marcus moved through the crowd on autopilot, shaking hands, making small talk, feeling like a ghost haunting his own party. Derek appeared at his elbow. See the Goldberg Group over there? Go charm them. They are thinking about pulling their investment. Marcus nodded, started to move that direction, then stopped. Across the room, near the bar, a woman stood alone. She was not like the others. No designer gown, just a simple navy dress that looked elegant without trying. Dark hair with natural gray streaks pulled back loosely. She was talking to Charlotte Reed, the event organizer, and laughing at something Charlotte said. A real laugh. Not the practiced social laugh everyone else wore like jewelry. Marcus guessed she was in her early 50s. There was something in the way she carried herself. Confident but not performing. Present but not desperate to be noticed. She turned slightly and Marcus saw her face. Strong features, warm brown eyes, smile lines that spoke of genuine joy rather than cosmetic procedures. Derek followed his gaze. That's Sophia Hayes, nurse from Bellevue Hospital, Charlotte's cousin. Brought her as a +1. He paused. Why, you interested? Marcus realized he had been staring. Just curious. Derek grinned. You have not dated since Jennifer. Maybe it's time. Maybe. But he was already walking toward the bar before Derek could say anything else. She stood with her back to him, still talking to Charlotte. Marcus caught the tail end of their conversation. I appreciate you inviting me, but honestly, I would rather be home catching up on sleep. Charlotte laughed. Sophia, you work too much. When's the last time you did something just for fun? I'm 54. Fun is a good night's sleep. Marcus smiled despite himself. He reached the bar and positioned himself nearby, waiting for the right moment. Charlotte noticed him first. Her eyes widened slightly in recognition, then she excused herself with a knowing look. Sophia Hayes stood alone, examining a glass of sparkling water with lemon. May I get you a drink? She turned. Up close she was even more striking. No heavy makeup, Just natural beauty worn with the grace of someone who had stopped trying to look younger and decided to look like herself instead. Thank you, but I still have this. She raised the glass. I drove here. Need a clear head to get home. Water at a party like this? Her smile was slightly amused. Let me guess. Tech executive, net worth in the millions, here to make deals. Marcus felt something shift. When was the last time someone had spoken to him like this? Not deferential, not impressed, not trying to get something, just direct. Close, financial investments. Marcus Sterling. Sophia Hayes, emergency room nurse, here because Charlotte insisted I needed to get out more. They shook hands. Her grip was firm, professional, the hands of someone who worked with them. 28 years at Bellevue, I hear. Her eyebrows raised. Charlotte told you. She mentioned it. That's a long time in emergency medicine. It is, but I love what I do. There was something in the way she said it, a certainty Marcus had not felt about his own work in years, maybe ever. Tell me about it. She studied him, clearly trying to figure out if he was being polite or genuine. Are you sure you want to hear about a nurse's day? It's not exactly champagne and chandeliers. I'm very sure. Something in his tone must have convinced her. She relaxed slightly. Yesterday, I helped save an 8-year-old boy who was choking. Parents brought him in, no insurance, terrified they could not afford treatment. We got him breathing, sent him home safe. That's why I do it. Marcus felt the words settle into the hollow place in his chest. When did you last feel that alive about your work? The question was so perceptive, it caught him off guard. Sophia Hayes was watching him with the kind of attention that came from years of reading people in crisis, seeing past what they said to what they meant. I don't know if I ever have. Then why do you do it? Because I'm good at it. Because I built it from nothing. Because it's what I know. Those are not reasons. Those are just facts. Marcus laughed, actually laughed. The sound felt strange. You're very direct. I'm 54 years old and I work 12-hour shifts in a public hospital. I don't have time for games. She paused. Do you love what you do, Marcus Sterling? No one had asked him that question in 30 years. I used to, when I was building the company, when Jennifer was alive. He stopped. My wife, she died 3 years ago. Sophia's expression softened immediately. Not pity, understanding. I'm sorry. Thank you. We were together 30 years, married 25. That's a long time. Not long enough. They stood in silence for a moment. Around them, the party continued, but it felt distant now, separate from this small space they had created. I was married too, Sophia said quietly. 18 years. Divorced 8 years ago. One daughter, Jessica. She's 28 now. Starting over at 46 must have been difficult. It was terrifying, but nursing gave me purpose. My patients needed me. My mother needed me. She looked at him. You have to find what needs you, otherwise you're just existing. The words hit hard. Existing. That was exactly what he had been doing. Existing through meetings and mergers and days that bled into each other without meaning. I'm existing, Marcus said, and I'm tired of it. Sophia studied him with those warm, perceptive eyes. Then maybe it's time to change that. How? That's something only you can answer. But asking the question is a start, though. Marcus felt something he had not felt in 3 years, a stirring of possibility. This woman, this stranger, had seen something in him that he had forgotten was there. Would you like to get out of here? She looked surprised. What? I have a key to One World Observatory, private access. The view at night is extraordinary and it's quiet, much better than this. He gestured at the crowded ballroom. Sophia hesitated. I don't do impulsive, not at 54. I don't either, not at 60. But it's my birthday, and I would rather spend it with someone real than another hour networking with people who don't actually care. It's your birthday? Just turned 60 at midnight. She smiled, something genuine and warm that transformed her whole face. Then yes, but only for a few hours. I have a 6 a.m. shift tomorrow. They left together, and Marcus felt lighter than he had in years. The private elevator climbed in silence. Manhattan spread below them, a constellation of light and possibility. Sophia stood pressed against the glass, watching the city reveal itself floor by floor. I've lived here 54 years, she said softly. Never saw it from this angle. I've been up here hundreds of times, never actually looked. She glanced at him. Too busy making deals? Too busy missing life while living it. The elevator stopped. Marcus used his special access key to open the restricted viewing area. Comfortable benches arranged to face the floor-to-ceiling windows. Subtle lighting that did not compete with the view. The city stretched to the horizon in every direction. Sophia walked to the glass and stood there, just taking it in. Marcus watched her, the way she held herself, the natural grace, the absence of pretense. "Tell me about your work," he said. "Really, what's it like to save lives every day?" She turned, clearly surprised he wanted to know. Then she settled onto one of the benches and Marcus sat beside her, keeping a respectful distance. "It's intense. Every shift is an emotional gauntlet. Yesterday, the boy who was choking. Last week, an elderly woman with a stroke. We called the ambulance, but it took 45 minutes to get her to the hospital. By then, too much damage. She died 3 days later." Marcus saw the pain in her eyes, the weight of all the lives she had touched and the ones she could not save. "How do you carry that?" "You have to, because the next patient needs you clear-headed and ready, and because sometimes you win. Sometimes that 16-year-old with a gunshot wound pulls through. Sometimes the mother in labor who thought she would lose her baby gets to hold a healthy child. Those moments make the hard ones bearable. You've had offers to work in private hospitals? Better pay." She looked at him sharply. "How did you know?" "Charlotte mentioned it." "Why did you stay in public health?" Sophia was quiet for a long moment, looking out at the city. "Because the people who come to Bellevue don't have options. No insurance, no savings. For many of them, we are the only hope they have. The woman with the stroke, she was on Medicare, lived alone, worked part-time at 72 because she could not afford to retire. If I had been at Mount Sinai, I would have been treating people who could afford concierge medicine. But that woman needed someone who would hold her hand while she died scared and alone. I stayed because that matters more than a bigger paycheck." Marcus felt something break open in his chest. This woman, this stranger, had more purpose in one shift than he had found in 30 years of building an empire. "You're extraordinary," she laughed. "I'm a nurse doing my job." "No, you sacrifice for strangers every day. I optimize portfolios for people who already have more money than they need. At 60, I've realized I've wasted my talent. It's not too late to change that. Isn't it? I'm 60 years old. And I'm 54. My father died when I was 42. My marriage ended when I was 46. I had to rebuild my entire life. If I can do it at middle age, you can do it at 60. Marcus looked at her, really looked. Saw the strength that came from surviving loss and choosing to keep going. Saw the compassion that years in an emergency room had not hardened. Saw someone who had figured out what he was still searching for. "What if I told you I wanted to do something meaningful with my money? Start a foundation. Help public hospitals?" Sophia's expression shifted, skepticism mixed with hope. "Rich people start foundations all the time, then forget about them, use them for tax breaks. What if I meant it? Then I'd say you need someone who knows what hospitals really need, not what looks good in a press release. Would you be that someone?" She stared at him. "Marcus, we just met a few hours ago." "I know. You don't even know if this is real interest or a crisis. 60 is a difficult age." "I'm past midlife," he said quietly. "And watching you talk about your work, seeing the passion, the purpose, I want that. I want to matter. And I think you could show me how." Sophia studied him for a long time. Marcus felt exposed under that gaze. Like she could see right through the expensive suit and the net worth and the carefully constructed image to the hollow man underneath. Finally, she spoke. "Let me think about it." "That's all I ask." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights. Marcus felt his chest tighten again, the pain that had been coming more frequently. He tried to hide it, but Sophia noticed immediately. "Are you okay?" "Fine, just indigestion." Her expression changed. The nurse came forward, sharp and assessing. "That wasn't indigestion. How long have you had chest pains?" Marcus hesitated. "A few months, stress-related." "Family history?" "My father died of a heart attack at 55. Sophia's eyes widened. "And you're 60 with chest pains and you haven't seen a cardiologist?" "I've been busy." "Marcus Sterling, I've seen too many men like you die in my emergency room. Successful, important. Too busy to take care of themselves until it's too late." Her voice was firm. "You need a cardiac workup. Tomorrow." "I have the merger." "I don't care about your merger. I care that you might have a heart attack during it." The bluntness should have offended him. Instead, Marcus felt cared for in a way he had not felt since Jennifer died. I promise. I'll call my doctor tomorrow. Good. She relaxed slightly. Because I'd hate to have this conversation again over your hospital bed. Marcus smiled despite himself. You barely know me. No, but I'd like to. The words hung between them, an admission neither had planned. Marcus felt his heart rate increase, and for once it had nothing to do with pain. I'd like that too. Sophia checked her phone. It's almost 1. I really do have a 6 a.m. shift. Can I take you home? You don't have to. I want to. She studied him again, then nodded. Okay. They rode the elevator down in silence that felt comfortable rather than awkward. The kind of silence that happens between people who have said something true and are letting it settle. The car pulled up to a modest apartment building in Brooklyn. 3 stories, weathered brick, a corner deli with its lights still on despite the late hour. Sophia gestured at the building. This is my world, different from the Upper East Side. More real, she smiled. Want to come up for coffee? Fair warning, my daughter might be there. She crashes at my place sometimes when she's working late in the city. Marcus felt nervous for the first time all night. Meeting the daughter already? She's 28, not 16, and I promise she doesn't bite. Okay, coffee sounds good. The apartment was exactly what he expected. Small but warm. Photos covering every wall. Sophia through the years. A young girl growing up. College graduation. Beaches and birthdays and ordinary moments made sacred by being remembered. A young woman sat on the couch with a laptop. She looked up when they entered, eyes widening slightly at the sight of Marcus. Mom, it's 3 in the morning. I know, sweetheart. Jessica, this is Marcus Sterling. We met at Charlotte's event. Jessica stood, clearly assessing him. She had her mother's eyes, sharp and perceptive. The billionaire Charlotte mentioned? Marcus winced slightly at the word. I prefer Marcus. Jessica looked at her mother, then back at Marcus. Something passed between mother and daughter. A whole conversation in a glance. I'll make coffee, Jessica said. Then to Sophia, can I talk to you for a second? They disappeared into the kitchen. Marcus could hear urgent whispers but not words. He stood in the living room, surrounded by evidence of a life fully lived, so different from his sterile penthouse. They returned a few minutes later. Jessica carried a tray with 3 mugs. They sat and for a while made awkward small talk. Then Jessica asked the question Marcus had been waiting for. What do you want at 60? The directness ran in the family, apparently. I want purpose beyond profit. I want to fix problems, not just invest in solutions. I want to matter. You matter to investors. That's not mattering, that's being useful. Marcus looked at Sophia. Your mother asked me if I loved my work. I realized I don't. Haven't for years. Maybe ever. Jessica's expression softened slightly. She looked at her mother. He's honest, at least. He is, Sophia agreed. They talked for another hour about work and loss and what it meant to start over. Marcus learned that Sophia's ex-husband had remarried and moved to Florida, that she had raised Jessica mostly alone, that she worked double shifts to save money for something she would not specify. At 3:47, Sophia's phone rang. She looked at the screen and her whole demeanor changed. Professional. Focused. Hayes, what's the situation? She listened, nodding. Then, understood. I'll be there in 30 minutes. She ended the call and was already moving toward her bedroom. Major accident, Belt Parkway, bus versus truck, multiple casualties, all available staff called in. Marcus watched her transform. The woman he had been talking to disappeared, replaced by an emergency room nurse with 28 years of experience. She returned in minutes wearing navy scrubs, hair pulled back, sneakers on. I have to go. Can I drive you? The subway's faster at this hour. Jessica stood. Mom, let him drive you. Sophia hesitated, then nodded. Okay, but just a ride. In the car, Sophia checked her phone constantly. Messages from colleagues, updates on casualties, 21 injured, 3 critical. Marcus saw her anxiety building. This is what I do, Marcus. Not glamorous, not parties or observatories. Blood and trauma and people dying because they can't afford ambulances. This is my reality. I want to understand it. She looked at him. Really looked. Do you? Yes. Then come by the hospital tomorrow. Spend a day with me if you really want to understand my world. See it, all of it. What time? 7 a.m., full 12-hour shift. Marcus did not hesitate. I'll be there. Sophia smiled, surprised but pleased. The car pulled up to the emergency entrance. Chaos already, ambulances, people running, the organized pandemonium of a trauma response. She opened the door, then turned back. Marcus, thank you for tonight. It was unexpected. Can I see you again after the shift? Come to the hospital, 7 a.m. You'll see more of me than you bargained for. I'll be there. She disappeared into the building, swallowed by the bright lights and urgent voices. Marcus sat in the car watching until he could not see her anymore. The driver's voice came soft from the front. Home, sir? Marcus thought about the empty penthouse, the silence, the ghost of a life he used to live. Yes, home. But as they drove through the pre-dawn darkness, Marcus Sterling realized something had shifted. For the first time in 3 years, he was looking forward to tomorrow. Not because of a merger or a deal or numbers on a screen, because a 54-year-old nurse with gray in her hair and purpose in her eyes had asked him if he was happy, and he had finally admitted the truth. No, but maybe, just maybe, he could be. The city began to wake around him, delivery trucks and early commuters and the slow brightening of the eastern sky. Marcus leaned back and closed his eyes. 7 a.m. He would be there. Whatever came next, he would be there. Marcus slept 2 hours. Not from insomnia this time, but from anticipation. A feeling he had almost forgotten. At 5:30, he gave up pretending and rose to shower and dress, choosing jeans and a simple button-down shirt. No suit, no armor. He was entering Sophia's world. An instinct told him the costume of success would only mark him as an outsider. The city was still dark when his car pulled away from the building. Saturday morning traffic light, the streets belonging to delivery trucks and night shift workers heading home. Marcus watched the neighborhoods change as they drove from Manhattan into Queens. Glass towers giving way to brick apartments. Boutiques becoming bodegas. The slow transition from wealth to working class, from his world to hers. Bellevue Hospital Center rose against the dawn sky like a fortress. 6 stories of weathered concrete and too few windows. The emergency entrance blazed with fluorescent light, ambulances clustered like patient animals waiting their turn. Even from the car, Marcus could see the line of people already forming. Families huddled on benches. A woman rocking a crying infant. An elderly man slumped against the wall, eyes closed in exhaustion or pain. This was where Sophia spent her life. This building that looked like it had been fighting a losing battle for decades. Marcus got out of the car and immediately felt out of place. His clothes were casual by his standards, but still too expensive. Clean and pressed while everyone around him wore the rumpled exhaustion of people who had been here all night or could not afford anything better. The automatic doors opened with a mechanical sigh. Inside, the waiting room was packed despite the early hour. The air smelled of antiseptic and fear, and too many bodies in too small a space. A television mounted in the corner played morning news no one watched. Phones rang constantly at the reception desk, where 2 harried staff members tried to process an endless line of need. Marcus stood uncertain, scanning for Sophia. Then he saw her emerge from a hallway marked emergency department, staff only. She wore the same navy scrubs from hours ago, hair still pulled back, but her face looked different, focused, alert. The woman from the observatory was gone, replaced by someone who had already been working for an hour and had 11 more to go. She spotted him and something flickered across her expression. Surprise, maybe, that he had actually come. You really showed up. I said I would. She studied him for a moment, then nodded as if he had passed some test. Come on, I'll get you a visitor's coat. He followed her through the staff entrance into a world that felt like organized chaos. Nurses moving quickly but not frantically. Doctors in clusters reviewing charts. The beep and hum of machines. Voices calm but urgent. This was the engine room, and it ran on precision and practice. Sophia handed him a white coat from a supply closet. Basic rules: don't touch anything without asking. Don't make promises to patients. If you feel faint, tell me immediately. She paused. And stay out of the way. We're understaffed on weekends. Understood. She led him into the emergency department proper. 10 beds separated by curtains that offered the illusion of privacy. Every bed occupied, a man with a blood-soaked bandage around his leg. A child crying while her mother tried to comfort her in Spanish. An elderly woman staring at the ceiling with the blank expression of someone who had given up. We're at capacity, Sophia said quietly. We're always at capacity. A nurse called out. Sophia, motorcycle accident coming in. ETA 2 minutes. Sophia's whole body shifted. Ready. Stay by the wall, she told Marcus. Watch, but don't interfere. The ambulance arrived with sirens that cut off as soon as it pulled under the bay. Paramedics rushed a gurney through the doors. A man in his 40s, conscious but clearly in shock. His left leg was mangled, blood seeping through temporary bandages, bone visible through torn denim. Marcus felt his stomach turn, forced himself to keep watching. Sophia was there immediately, gloved hands already assessing, asking questions in that calm voice that must have steadied 1,000 terrified patients. "Sir, I'm Sophia. I'm a nurse. Can you tell me your name?" "David. David Chen." "Okay, David, we're going to take care of you. Can you feel your toes?" "I don't know. I can't tell. Is it bad?" "We're going to get you stable and get some pictures of that leg. You're going to be okay." She worked with a team Marcus had not even noticed assemble. A doctor appeared, young and tired looking. Two other nurses. They moved like dancers who had rehearsed this choreography 1,000 times. Sophia called out to a technician, "Need an x-ray stat." The technician, a woman in her 50s, looked apologetic. "Machine's been down 3 days. Maintenance said maybe Monday." Sophia's jaw tightened, but her voice stayed steady. "Then we transfer to Mount Sinai. Get on the phone." To the patient, she said, "David, we need to move you to another facility for imaging. They have the equipment we need." The man's eyes widened with panic. "I can't afford a private hospital. Mount Sinai takes your insurance. We'll arrange transport." "But the ambulance, the bills, I just lost my job last month." Sophia squeezed his hand. "One thing at a time. First, we make sure you keep that leg." Onana Marcus stood against the wall watching this woman he had met hours ago handle crisis with the kind of competence that came from doing this every single day. She was magnificent, and the system she worked in was broken. The ambulance left with David Chen. Sophia pulled off her gloves, dropped them in a bin, immediately moved to the next bed. An 8-year-old girl with an asthma attack. Her mother spoke almost no English, gesturing frantically at her daughter who was struggling to breathe. Sophia switched to Spanish, not fluent but functional, enough to calm the mother while administering treatment. Within minutes, the girl's breathing eased. The mother kept saying gracias, tears streaming down her face. "No insurance?" Sophia asked gently. The mother shook her head. "It's okay. We'll work it out. Your daughter's health comes first." Marcus watched this exchange, saw how Sophia never asked about payment before providing care, never hesitated, just did what needed to be done and trusted that somehow the rest would follow. The morning continued. A 72-year-old man who had fallen at home. Hip fracture. He lived alone, worked part-time at a grocery store because his social security was not enough. No family, no one to care for him except strangers in this overwhelmed emergency room. Sophia held his weathered hand while the doctor explained he needed surgery. "I can't afford to be off work," the old man said, voice shaking. "Mr. Thompson, you're 72. You should be retired." "Can't afford retirement, miss." Marcus stood in the corner calculating. This man's entire life savings probably equaled what Marcus spent on a single business dinner. The unfairness of it was staggering. By noon, Marcus had witnessed a parade of human suffering. A 16-year-old girl in diabetic crisis, undiagnosed type 1, her parents working class and uninsured, learning that the insulin their daughter needed for the rest of her life would cost $400 a month without insurance. A construction worker with a nail through his hand who kept apologizing for bleeding on the floor. A pregnant woman in early labor, terrified and alone, who spoke only Mandarin. Every case revealed the same pattern. People who worked hard, followed rules, tried their best, and a system that failed them at every turn. At 12:30, Sophia finally took a break. They went to the staff cafeteria, a windowless room with vending machines and plastic tables. Sophia grabbed coffee and a sandwich, eating like someone who had forgotten breakfast existed. Marcus sat across from her, his hospital coffee untouched. "How do you do this every day?" "You get used to it. The chaos, the need. What you don't get used to is sending people away. You could help if you just had better resources." Marcus leaned forward. "What would you do with unlimited funding?" Sophia looked up from her sandwich. "That's an impossible question." "Humor me." She was quiet for a moment, thinking. "New x-ray machines. We're down to one that breaks constantly. An MRI. We have to transfer patients for imaging. Expand the ICU. We turn people away because we don't have beds." She paused. "And a fund. For uninsured patients. So Mr. Thompson doesn't have to choose between surgery and eating. So that diabetic girl gets her insulin. How much would the fund need to make a real difference?" "Why are you asking?" "Because I'm serious about starting a foundation, and I need someone who knows what hospitals actually need." Sophia put down her sandwich. "Rich people start foundations all the time. Tax breaks, good publicity. Then nothing changes. What if I meant it? What if I wanted to actually help? She studied him with those perceptive eyes. Then you'd need someone who knows the system from the inside. Someone who won't let you waste money on things that look good in press releases but don't help patients. Would you be that someone? Marcus, we met 12 hours ago. I know, but I watched you this morning. You save lives with broken equipment and no resources. Imagine what you could do with proper support. You don't even know if this is real or a crisis. 60 is a hard age. I'm past midlife, he said quietly. This is clarity, not crisis. Sophia looked at him for a long time. Marcus felt exposed but held her gaze. Let me think about it. That's all I ask. A voice crackled over the intercom. Trauma incoming, gunshot wound, 16-year-old male, ETA 3 minutes. Sophia was on her feet instantly. The sandwich abandoned, the nurse back in command. Stay in the observation room, she told Marcus. This could be bad. He followed her to a small room separated from the trauma bay by glass. Sophia disappeared through the doors. Marcus stood at the window watching. The ambulance screamed up. Paramedics burst through with a gurney. A boy, maybe 16, Hispanic, his shirt soaked red. His eyes were open, terrified. Behind the ambulance, a woman ran, screaming in Spanish, his mother. The trauma team swarmed. Doctor Martinez, the older physician Marcus had seen earlier, took charge. Sophia was right there, holding the boy's hand, speaking to him in steady Spanish while chaos erupted around them. Jaden, mirror me. Look at me. You're going to be okay. Stay with me. Blood pressure dropping, heartbeat irregular, the mechanical voice of monitors reporting crisis in emotionless numbers. Marcus watched this child the same age his own child would have been if IVF had worked, fighting for life on a gurney while his mother sobbed in the hallway held back by security. He felt something break open in his chest. Not pain this time. Something else. Something that felt like purpose trying to emerge. The surgery took 40 minutes. Marcus stood at the glass the entire time, unable to look away, watching Sophia's steady presence. The way she never let go of the boy's hand even while helping with procedures. The way she kept talking to him, keeping him conscious, keeping him fighting. Finally, Dr. Martinez stepped back. He's stable. Bullet missed the major organs. He'll need recovery, but he'll live. Sophia sagged slightly, just for a second. Then she was moving again, going to the mother, switching to Spanish, delivering the news that her son would survive. The mother collapsed into Sophia's arms, sobbing. Sophia held her, this stranger, with the same compassion she had shown everyone else today. And Marcus understood something fundamental about this woman. She did not just treat patients. She carried their fear and their pain and their hope. She took it into herself and somehow kept functioning. She emerged from the trauma bay 20 minutes later, scrubs stained with blood, exhaustion written on her face. Marcus met her in the hallway. You saved him. We saved him. It's always a team. How much will his medical bills be? Sophia sighed. 80,000, maybe more. His mother cleans houses. She'll be paying it off for the rest of her life. Marcus pulled out his phone, made 2 calls, 5 minutes of quiet conversation. Sophia watched him, puzzled. When he finished, he looked at her. It's handled. What's handled? His bill and a fund for his recovery medications. Anonymous donation to the hospital. Sophia stared. Marcus, that's $80,000. I spent more than that on Jennifer's 50th birthday party. This is a boy's life. His mother shouldn't go bankrupt for that. For the first time since he had arrived, Sophia's composure cracked. Her eyes filled with tears. Why would you do that? Because at 60, I finally understand. Money means nothing if it doesn't ease suffering. I watched you hold that boy's hand. Give everything you have. The least I can do is give what I have too much of. Sophia looked away, blinking rapidly. When she looked back, her expression had changed. Something had shifted between them. Marcus, I need to tell you something. What? My mother, Diana. She needs heart surgery, valve replacement. She's 78, been on the public hospital wait list 4 months. Could be 6 more months before they have an opening. Marcus felt his heart rate increase. How urgent is it? The doctor says she has maybe 6 months before she goes into heart failure. It could happen anytime. Sophia's voice wavered. Private surgery is $60,000. I've been working extra shifts. I've saved $23,000. Still need 37. Marcus did not hesitate. I'll pay for it. No, the word came fast and firm. Sophia, this is your mother's life. Which is exactly why I can't take charity. I'm 54 years old. I've worked since I was 16. I don't take handouts, especially not from a man I barely know. But if we're starting the foundation anyway, there is no foundation yet. You mentioned an idea at lunch. If you pay for my mother's surgery now, it looks like I manipulated you. Like I told you a sad story to get money. I won't be that woman. Marcus felt frustration rising. Who cares what it looks like? This is about saving your mother. I care what I think about myself. And I won't use you, Marcus, no matter how much I need the money. They stood in the hallway at an impasse. Around them, the hospital continued its endless rhythm. Monitors beeping, phones ringing, the white noise of constant crisis. Marcus spoke quietly. What if it's anonymous, through the hospital fund? You don't even acknowledge it came from me. Sophia looked at him, really looked, and Marcus saw the war happening behind her eyes. Pride versus love, independence versus desperation. If I accept, she said slowly, 3 conditions. Name them. 1, you get a cardiac workup. This week. You promised me, and I'm holding you to it. Deal. 2, the foundation happens. Real foundation. Not because of my mother, because you believe in it. I do believe in it. 3, she took a breath. We move slowly. You and me. At our age, we don't have time for games. But we also can't rush into something because emotions are high. We date properly, get to know each other, not because you're helping me, but because we want to. Marcus felt relief wash through him. Slowly. With intention, I can do that. Then yes, thank you. She hesitated, then stepped forward and hugged him. Brief but genuine. Thank you, Marcus. He held her for that moment, feeling the rightness of it. This was what mattered. Not mergers, not deals. This, helping someone who dedicated their life to helping others. His phone rang. Derek, 9th call today. Marcus had been ignoring them all. Sophia stepped back. You should probably answer that. Marcus sighed and accepted the call. Derek's voice exploded through the speaker. Where the hell are you? The merger signing was at 3. You missed it. Marcus looked at his watch. 5:30. He had completely forgotten. I'm at a hospital in Queens. Why, are you sick? No, I'm observing, learning about public health care. Learning about... Derek's voice rose. Marcus, what is going on? You've been acting insane since your birthday. Missing meetings, talking about foundations. I'm starting a foundation, Derek. 15 million, initial funding for public hospitals. Silence, then. Have you lost your mind? No, I've found my purpose. Your purpose is running the company we built together. Not playing savior to people who... Marcus's voice went cold. Finish that sentence carefully. Derek seemed to realize he had gone too far. He changed tactics. Marcus, you're grieving, making emotional decisions. This is a midlife crisis at 60. It's clarity. How much money are we talking? 15 million from my personal assets, not company funds. 15 million. Derek's voice was strangled. Marcus, I'm calling an emergency board meeting. This is breach of fiduciary duty. It's my money. And I'm 30% partner. I'll fight you on this. The line went dead. Marcus stood holding the phone, feeling the first real opposition to his plan. Derek was serious. This could get ugly. Sophia had heard enough to understand. If this causes problems with your business, it won't. But even as he said it, Marcus wondered if that was true. The rest of the shift passed in a blur. More patients, more stories of need and broken systems. At 6 p.m., a family returned to the ER. The teenage diabetic girl from that morning. Her father approached Sophia hesitantly. Nurse Hayes? Mr. Patterson, is Emily okay? The man's eyes were red from crying, but he was smiling. Someone paid her bills, all of them. Anonymous donor. Hospital called an hour ago. Set up a fund for her insulin for a whole year. Sophia looked at Marcus. He gave the smallest shrug. The father grabbed Marcus's hand without knowing who he was. Tell them thank you. Whoever they are, they saved my daughter's life. After they left, Sophia turned to Marcus. You did that too? $5,000. The cost of one dinner at Per Se. She gets to live a normal life. Which matters more? Sophia looked at him with an expression he could not quite read. You're going to make me believe this is real, aren't you? I hope so. At 7, the shift finally ended. Sophia was exhausted, but there was something else in her eyes. Satisfaction, purpose, the look of someone who had done hard work that mattered. They walked out together into the cool evening air. The sun was setting, painting the Queen's skyline in shades of orange and gold. Still want to start that foundation? Sophia asked. More than ever. But I need you, as a partner, equal voice in how it's run. I'm just a nurse. You're a 28-year veteran who knows what actually helps people. I'm just a man with money who knows nothing about healthcare. Together, maybe we make a real difference. Sophia smiled, tired but genuine. When you put it that way, Marcus's phone buzzed, a text from Derek, then another, then then a news alert. New York Post, Tech Titans midlife crisis. Sterling starts foundation after meeting nurse. Marcus closed his eyes. It had started. Derek had leaked the story. Sophia, we have a problem. She read the alert on her own phone. Her expression hardened as she scanned the article. It implied she was manipulating him, that her mother's surgery was too convenient, that the 6-year age gap was suspicious, that he was a vulnerable widower being taken advantage of by an opportunistic younger woman. Well, she said quietly, that didn't take long. I'm sorry, this is my fault. Derek's trying to discredit me. She looked up at him. Marcus, I'm 54 years old. I've survived divorce, single parenthood, and 28 years in an ER. I can handle gossip. Are you sure? What I can't handle is you not fighting back. If you believe in this foundation, if you believe in us, then stand up to them. Marcus felt something solid settle in his chest, certainty. Monday morning, board meeting, I'll handle Derek. Good. They stood in the parking lot as darkness fell around them. Two people who had met 24 hours ago and somehow recognized something essential in each other. Can I see you tomorrow? Marcus asked. Somewhere quiet, no hospitals, no parties, just us. Sophia smiled. I'd like that. Your place. I'll bring dinner. Something better than cafeteria sandwiches. 7 o'clock. And Marcus? Yes? Thank you for today, for my mother, for seeing what we do here. Thank you for showing me what matters. He watched her walk to her car, a 10-year-old Honda with a dented bumper and a nursing school sticker faded by time. She waved before getting in. He waved back. As his own car pulled away, Marcus thought about the day. 12 hours in that struggling hospital, watching Sophia save lives with broken equipment and determination, meeting patients who worked hard and still could not afford basic care, seeing a system that failed the people who most needed it, and understanding, finally, what his money could actually do. Not make him happier, not make him more successful, but make someone else's life bearable. Give a diabetic girl her insulin. Save a mother from bankruptcy. Give an old man his dignity. That mattered. That was worth fighting for. Monday he would face the board, face Derek's accusations and threats. But tonight he had something he had not had in 3 years, purpose. And tomorrow he would have dinner with a woman who had shown him that 60 was not too late to start actually living. The city lights blurred past the window. Marcus closed his eyes and for the first time in forever, felt something close to peace. Sunday morning, Marcus woke to 17 missed calls in a media firestorm. The New York Post had run the story on page 3. Tech Titans' $15 million midlife crisis. The article was carefully worded to avoid outright libel, but the implications were clear. Marcus Sterling, grieving widower, vulnerable at 60, had been swept up by a younger woman with a conveniently sick mother and expensive needs. Sophia Hayes, 54-year-old nurse, had somehow manipulated a billionaire into funding her hospital and her family. The age gap, 6 years, was played up as if Marcus were robbing a cradle. The timing, her mother's surgery need revealed just as Marcus mentioned starting a foundation, painted as too convenient to be coincidence. Anonymous sources close to Sterling suggested he was not himself, that grief had compromised his judgment, that his business partner was deeply concerned. Derek had orchestrated this perfectly. Marcus sat at his kitchen island, reading the article 3 times, feeling rage build with each pass. Not for himself, for Sophia. She had done nothing except be honest about her mother's illness, and now the world was calling her a gold digger. His phone rang. His mother. Marcus, I saw the paper. Mom, it's not what it says. I know that. Patricia Sterling's voice was firm. I raised you. You don't get manipulated. If you're starting a foundation, you have good reason. If you care about this woman, she must be special. Marcus felt his throat tighten. She is, Mom. She showed me what I've been missing. Then fight for it. Your father would have. I will. And Marcus, bring her to dinner. I want to meet the woman who woke up my son. After he hung up, Marcus called Sophia. It went to voicemail. He tried again an hour later. Same result. Finally, a text came through. At hospital, people asking questions, need time to think. Marcus stared at the message, the careful distance in those words. He wanted to drive to Queens immediately, but instinct told him to give her space. So instead, he did what he should have done weeks ago. He called his doctor and made an appointment for a full cardiac workup. Monday morning, first thing. If he was going to fight for this, he needed to be alive to see it through. Monday arrived with the weight of inevitability. Marcus sat in Dr. Patel's office at 7 a.m., stripped to the waist with electrodes stuck to his chest. The EKG machine hummed and beeped, recording the rhythm of a heart that had been sending warning signals for months. Dr. Patel, a man in his 50s who had been Marcus's physician for a decade, studied the readout with the kind of expression that meant bad news coming. Marcus, your blood pressure is 150/95. Your cholesterol is through the roof. This EKG shows irregularities that concern me greatly. He looked up. You're having stress-induced arrhythmia. Given your family history, you're at serious risk for cardiac event. How serious? Serious enough that I'm prescribing medication immediately and referring you to a cardiologist. You need a full workup. Echocardiogram, stress test, possibly an angiogram. Dr. Patel leaned forward. Marcus, you're 60 years old with a genetic predisposition to heart disease. You cannot ignore this. I won't. Not anymore. What changed? Marcus smiled slightly. I met someone who refuses to let me be stupid about my health. Then marry her. She might save your life. The words stayed with Marcus as he drove to the office. Marry her. He had known Sophia for 4 days. But somehow the idea did not seem crazy. At 60, you knew what mattered. You knew when something was real. If he survived Derek and the board, he would tell her that. The Sterling Tech conference room was designed to intimidate, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. A table that could seat 20, polished to mirror shine. Original art on the walls. Abstract pieces worth more than most people's houses. Marcus arrived at 8:30 for the 9 o'clock emergency board meeting. Derek was already there, along with 3 other board members. Linda Chen, 65, former COO of a Fortune 500. Robert Kim, 58, venture capitalist. Thomas Hartley, 62, retired investment banker. The old guard, Derek's allies. They looked up when Marcus entered. Derek's expression was carefully neutral. The others looked uncomfortable. Marcus took his seat at the head of the table, said nothing, just waited. At 9 sharp, the remaining board members arrived. Patricia Walsh, no relation to Derek, 52, tech entrepreneur. James Morrison, 60, healthcare executive. And Sarah Goldstein, 67, philanthropist who had built 3 successful foundations. Marcus had called them over the weekend, explained his vision, asked for their support. He thought he had it, but you never knew until the vote. Derek stood. Thank you all for coming on short notice. We have a serious matter to address. He distributed folders. As you know, Marcus has announced plans to start a foundation, $15 million in initial funding from his personal dividend distributions. Linda Chen spoke up. That's his right as majority shareholder. Why are we here? Because his judgment is compromised. Derek pulled up an image on the screen. The Post article. This foundation coincides with a new relationship. A woman 6 years younger who happens to need $60,000 for her mother's surgery. The timing raises questions. Robert Kim shifted uncomfortably. Derek, are you suggesting Marcus is being scammed? I'm suggesting he's grieving and making emotional decisions. $15 million is significant. It affects company stability, investor confidence. Marcus listened to Derek build his case. The words were reasonable on the surface. Concern for the company, fiduciary responsibility. But underneath was something uglier. Fear that Marcus was changing, and that change threatened Derek's comfortable position. When Derek finished, Marcus stood. Derek's right about one thing. I am making an emotional decision, because for 30 years I've made purely logical ones, and they left me empty. He moved to the window looking out at the city. I built this company from nothing. Started in a dorm room at Wharton with a $5,000 loan from my mother, who earned that money cleaning offices. He turned back to face them. We've built an empire, $500 million in assets, returns that make our investors very wealthy, including everyone in this room. He paused. But this weekend, I spent 12 hours in a public hospital in Queens. I watched a nurse with 28 years of experience save lives with broken equipment and no resources. I saw a 16-year-old boy shot in gang crossfire, racked up $80,000 in medical bills, His mother will never be able to pay. I met a 72-year-old man who can't afford to retire working part-time so he doesn't starve on Social Security alone. The room was silent. That's the reality for millions of Americans. And I've spent 3 decades making rich people richer while ignoring it. Marcus looked at Derek. You say my judgment is compromised. I say it's finally clear. Money means nothing if it doesn't ease suffering. Sarah Goldstein spoke up. What exactly are you proposing, Marcus? The Sterling Hayes Foundation, $15 million initial funding from my personal assets, not company operating funds. Focus on public hospital infrastructure and patient assistance, medical equipment upgrades, satellite clinics in underserved areas, funds for uninsured patients facing catastrophic costs. He pulled up his own presentation. I've had lawyers draw up the structure, completely separate from Sterling Tech. My dividends fund it, not company profits. James Morrison leaned forward, interested. You mentioned the name, Sterling Hayes. Is that the nurse from the article? Sophia Hayes, yes. She's not my girlfriend manipulating me for money. She's a healthcare professional who refused my help initially because she didn't want to compromise her integrity. She only accepted when I made it clear the foundation was happening regardless, and her expertise was essential to doing it right. Linda Chen studied the proposal. This is actually well thought out, because it matters to me, more than any deal we've ever closed. Derek stood abruptly. This is insane. You're throwing away $15 million because of some emotional crisis. Sit down, Derek. Marcus's voice went cold. I've listened to your concerns. Now listen to mine. For 3 years since Jennifer died, I've gone through the motions, worked 80-hour weeks because I had nothing else, made money because that's all I knew how to do, and I was dying inside. He looked around the table. How many of you have asked yourselves what it's all for? The deals, the returns, the endless accumulation? At 60, I finally asked that question, and the answer is it's for nothing unless it helps someone. Patricia Walsh spoke quietly. I support Marcus. This foundation could be the best thing Sterling Tech has ever been associated with. James Morrison nodded. I'm in. My background is healthcare. This addresses real needs. Sarah Goldstein smiled. I've built 3 foundations. This structure is solid. You have my vote. Derek's face went red. You're all crazy. He's having a breakdown. No, Marcus said. I'm having a breakthrough. The question is whether you can support it or not. If you do this, I want out. Buy my shares. I'm done. Fine. I'll have lawyers draw up papers. You'll get fair market value. Derek stared at him, clearly not expecting Marcus to agree so readily. You're serious. Completely. If you can't support this vision, then we want different things. Better to part ways. The vote was called. 7 in favor of Marcus and the foundation. 1 opposed. Derek stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the artwork. The remaining board members stood, coming to shake Marcus's hand. Sarah Goldstein lingered after the others left. Marcus, I've seen a lot of wealthy people start foundations. Most do it for tax breaks or legacy. You're doing it for the right reasons. She paused. But be prepared. The scrutiny will be intense, especially regarding Ms. Hayes. Make sure she's ready for it. I'll protect her as much as I can. Then good luck. And when you're ready, I'd be happy to consult. I know the pitfalls. Marcus thanked her and sat alone in the empty conference room. He had won. The foundation would happen. Derek was out, and now he had to face the harder battle, convincing Sophia that this was real and worth fighting for. His phone buzzed, a text from Jessica, Sophia's daughter. My mom's not answering calls. She's scared. The hospital staff is talking. Please don't give up on her. Marcus typed back immediately. I won't. Tell her I'll be there tonight. But before he could see Sophia, he had another obligation, one he should have fulfilled months ago. The Queen's apartment building looked exactly as it had when Marcus was a boy. Same worn brick, same narrow hallway that smelled of cooking and old wood. His mother's apartment on the 3rd floor, the door with the welcome mat she had owned for 20 years. Patricia Sterling opened the door before he could knock. 85 years old, white hair, eyes that missed nothing. She had been beautiful once, still was, in the way that mattered. Marcus, you actually came. I should have come months ago. She pulled him into a hug, fierce and quick, then stepped back, studying him. You look terrible. When did you last sleep? Not sure. Saturday, maybe. Come in. I made pot roast. The apartment was a time capsule. Same furniture from 40 years ago. Same photographs on every surface. His father in his mechanic's uniform. Marcus's graduation from Wharton. Jennifer and Marcus on their wedding day. His mother had built a shrine to a family that was mostly gone. Over dinner, simple and perfect the way only a mother's cooking could be, Marcus told her everything. The party, meeting Sophia, the hospital shift, Derek's betrayal, the board meeting, the foundation. Patricia listened without interrupting, the way she always had. When he finished, she sat back in her chair. Your father would be proud. Woody, I'm giving away $15 million. Your father never made more than $50,000 a year, worked 60-hour weeks at the shop, came home with his hands black from grease. She smiled, remembering, but he fixed cars for free when people couldn't pay, gave rides to neighbors who needed them, helped anyone who asked. That was wealth to him, making a difference. Marcus felt his throat tighten. I forgot that. You were building something, proving you could rise above where you started. Nothing wrong with that. But now you're remembering what matters. That's growth, not crisis. What about Sophia? The papers say she's using me. Patricia snorted. The papers are written by people who don't understand that real love makes you better. This woman made you question your life, made you care about something beyond profit. That's not manipulation. That's grace. I think I love her, Mom, after 4 days. When you're 60, you know faster. You don't have time to waste wondering. She reached across the table, taking his hand. Bring her to dinner. Let me meet her. If she's half as good as you say, I'll like her. Marcus stayed another hour helping wash dishes, talking about small things, being present in a way he had not been in years. When he left, his mother hugged him again. Marcus, that $15 million, I'm proud of you. He drove to Brooklyn with his mother's words echoing in his head. The apartment building was dark except for a few lit windows. Sophia's was one of them. He texted from the car. I'm downstairs. Can we talk? 3 minutes passed. Then, come up. Sophia answered the door in jeans and a faded nursing school sweatshirt. No makeup, hair down. She looked younger and more vulnerable than he had seen her. Hi. Hi. They stood awkward for a moment. Then Sophia stepped back. Come in. The apartment felt different at night, quieter, more intimate. Jessica was not there, just the two of them and the weight of everything that had happened. I'm sorry, Marcus said, about the article. Derek leaked it to discredit me. I should have anticipated it. It's not your fault. Sophia moved to the couch, sat down. Marcus joined her, keeping distance. But the hospital has been difficult. People asking questions, wondering if it's true. What did you tell them? The truth. That we met at a party. That you visited the hospital. That the foundation was your idea. She looked at him. But Marcus, they don't believe me. They think I'm either naive or lying. Dr. Martinez actually pulled me aside and told me to be careful. Said rich men make promises they don't keep. I keep my promises. I know, but they don't. She pulled her knees up, wrapping her arms around them. A defensive posture. And maybe they're right to be skeptical. We've known each other 4 days. You're talking about $15 million. My mother needs $60,000. It looks bad. Do you think I'm being manipulated? She laughed, but there was no humor in it. No, if anything, I think you're having some kind of revelation, and I'm caught in the middle of it. It's not a revelation. It's you. You showed me what I was missing. Sophia looked at him with those wise, tired eyes. Marcus, you're 60 years old, widowed 3 years, successful but lonely. I'm 54. Divorced 8 years, working myself to exhaustion. We're both vulnerable in different ways. So we should walk away, ignore that this feels real? I don't know what we should do, Arik. I just know that right now, with my mother's surgery coming up and your board meeting and the media watching, everything is complicated. Marcus leaned forward. Sophia, I won the board vote today. 7-1. The foundation is happening. Derek's out. He's selling his shares. Her eyes widen. He's leaving the company? Yes, because I refuse to back down. This foundation matters to me. You matter to me. Marcus, I know it's fast. I know we barely know each other. But at 60, I don't have time to play games or wonder. I know what I feel. And I know that you're the most real thing that's happened to me in years. Sophia was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was soft. I'm scared. Of what? Of this being too good to be true. Of you realizing I'm just a tired nurse with gray hair and a complicated life. Of my mother's surgery going wrong. Of failing you somehow. She looked at him. I'm 54, Marcus. I'm not young. I'm not exciting. I work long hours and I'm usually exhausted. and I have a mother who needs me and a daughter who worries about me. I'm not some prize. Marcus moved closer, not touching, but near enough that she could feel his presence. Sophia Hayes, you are extraordinary. You save lives with broken equipment. You hold the hands of dying strangers. You refused my money because of your integrity. You challenged me to be better. That's not ordinary. That's magnificent. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. What if my mother dies during surgery? Then I'll be there with you, whatever happens. What if the foundation fails? Then we learn and try again, together. What if people keep saying I'm using you? Then we prove them wrong by doing the work, by being real, by not caring what they think. Sophia reached out, taking his hand. I'm falling for you, and it terrifies me. I'm already fallen, and it's the best thing I've felt in years. She leaned against him, just resting her head on his shoulder. They sat like that for a long time, two people who had lived full lives and found each other anyway. When's your mother's surgery? Marcus asked quietly. Friday, NYU Langone. They had a cancellation. I'll be there if you want me. I want you there. They spent the rest of the evening talking about their marriages, their losses, their hopes. Marcus told her about Jennifer's last days, the helplessness of watching someone you love slip away. Sophia told him about her divorce, the loneliness of starting over at middle age, the fear that she would never feel connected to someone again. By the time Marcus left at midnight, something had shifted. The fear was still there, but so was the certainty. Whatever this was between them, it was worth fighting for. Friday morning arrived with the cruel brightness of a day that would change everything. Marcus met Sophia and Jessica at NYU Langone at 8 a.m. Diana Hayes was already in pre-op, sitting up in the hospital bed looking simultaneously terrified and determined. She was smaller than Marcus had imagined, 78 years old but seeming older, worn down by 7 decades of hard work. But her eyes were sharp, taking in everything, especially Marcus standing nervously in the doorway. So you're the rich man. Marcus approached the bed. I'm Marcus, Mrs. Hayes. It's an honor to meet you. You're the man paying for my surgery and dating my daughter. She looked him over carefully. I read that article. Called you a cradle robber. You're only 6 years older than Sophia. That's nothing. Mama, Sophia said, embarrassed. What? It's true. Diana turned back to Marcus. My Sophia has been hurt before. Her ex-husband was a fool, drank, gambled, left her to raise Jessica alone. She doesn't need another man who will disappoint her. I understand. Do you? Because my daughter is 54. She works herself to exhaustion taking care of others. She deserves someone who will take care of her for once. Are you that man? Marcus met her eyes. I'm trying to be, ma'am. I'm 60, widowed, lonely. Your daughter showed me that life has meaning beyond success. I'm not saving her. She's saving me. Diana studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. Okay, you can stay. The orderly arrived to take her to surgery. Sophia held her mother's hand until the last possible moment. Te amo, mama. Te amo, mija. See you soon. Then she was gone, wheeled through the double doors marked surgery, and all they could do was wait. The waiting room was designed to be comforting. Soft chairs, nature photography on the walls, coffee and tea service. But comfort was impossible when someone you loved was having their chest cut open. Sophia paced. Jessica sat with her laptop, trying to work and failing. Marcus stood at the window watching the city, praying to a God he had not spoken to in years. Please let her live. Sophia needs her mother. Don't take another person from someone I love. 2 hours passed, then 3. The surgery was supposed to take 3 to 4 hours. At hour 3.5, the surgeon emerged. Doctor. Palmer was in his 50s, gray at the temples, the kind of calm competence that came from doing this 1,000 times. But his expression was serious. Sophia stood immediately. What's wrong? There was a complication. During the valve replacement, her blood pressure dropped significantly. She went into cardiac arrest. Sophia's legs buckled. Marcus caught her. Is she alive? Jessica's voice was small, terrified. Yes, we resuscitated her. She's stable now. But the next 2 hours are critical. We're monitoring her closely in recovery. It could go either way. Sophia made a sound like she had been punched. Marcus held her up, feeling her shake. Can we see her? Not yet. I'll come get you when she's ready. Dr. Palmer's expression softened. Your mother's a fighter, Ms. Hayes. She pulled through the arrest. That's a good sign. He left them in the waiting room with hope and terror in equal measure. The next 2 hours were the longest of Marcus's life. He could not imagine what they were for Sophia. She sat curled in a chair, silent, occasionally crying. Jessica sat beside her, holding her hand. Marcus felt helpless, useless. All his money could not fix this, could not guarantee the outcome, could not protect the woman he loved from this pain. At 6:15 p.m., Dr. Palmer returned. His expression had changed. He was smiling. She's stable, strong vitals. The crisis has passed. Sophia stood up so fast she swayed. She's okay? She's going to be okay. The surgery was successful. She'll need recovery time, but she should make a full return to normal activity. Sophia collapsed into Marcus's arms, sobbing. Relief and exhaustion and too much emotion to contain. He held her, feeling his own tears fall. Jessica joined them, the three of them hugging in the middle of the waiting room, while other families watched and smiled, recognizing the universal language of answered prayers. They let Sophia see her mother an hour later. Diana was pale, tubes and monitors everywhere, but conscious. Her eyes found Sophia immediately. Mija, Mama. Sophia was at the bedside, holding the hand that was not connected to an IV. You scared me. Sorry, I heard you crying. Had to come back. Sophia laughed through tears, then she gestured Marcus forward. Mama, Marcus was here the whole time. Diana's eyes found him. Thank you. For my life. For my daughter's happiness. Marcus felt his throat close. Thank you for creating her. Diana smiled weakly. This one's a keeper. Don't let him go. Over the next 3 months, Marcus Sterling learned what it meant to build something that mattered. The Sterling Hayes Foundation was officially incorporated in March. Board of Directors established. Marcus as chairman. Sophia as medical director, a title she accepted only after reducing her hospital hours to part-time so she could remain connected to the work that grounded her. 3 healthcare policy experts rounded out the board. The foundation's first major project was announced in April. $2 million to Bellevue Hospital Center for comprehensive equipment upgrades. New X-ray machines. State-of-the-art monitoring equipment. Expanded ICU capacity. The machines that had been broken during Marcus's first visit were replaced with technology that would serve the hospital for a decade. A satellite urgent care clinic in an underserved area of Queens broke ground in May. $3 million to build and staff a facility that would serve families who lived too far from emergency rooms. The kind of place that could have saved the elderly woman who died waiting for an ambulance. The kind of place that gave people a fighting chance. The Patient Assistance Fund launched in June. $5 million set aside to cover catastrophic medical costs for uninsured patients. Cancer treatments, emergency surgeries, chronic disease management. The kind of care that should not bankrupt families but too often did. And through it all, Marcus and Sophia built something else. A relationship that grew slowly, intentionally, with the care of 2 people who knew how rare real connection was. Sunday dinners became tradition. Marcus at Patricia's apartment in Queens. Sophia and Diana and Jessica joining them. 2 families blending. Patricia and Diana becoming fast friends. 2 widows who had survived hard lives and earned their wisdom. Jessica warming to Marcus as she saw her mother genuinely happy for the first time in years. The media narrative shifted. Initial skepticism gave way to grudging respect as the foundation actually delivered on its promises. Equipment arrived. Construction began. Patients' lives visibly improved. Sophia was no longer painted as a gold digger, but as a healthcare advocate who had inspired real change. Marcus's health improved too. The cardiac workup had been sobering. Medication for blood pressure, cholesterol management, regular exercise, a cardiologist who monitored him closely, but also less stress, more purpose. The chest pains that had plagued him faded as his life filled with meaning. In September, the foundation held its official launch event at Bellevue Hospital. The new equipment was unveiled. The urgent care clinic construction was ahead of schedule. Stories were shared of lives saved by the Patient Assistance Fund. Marcus stood at the podium looking out at 200 people, hospital staff, city officials, patients whose lives had been changed, press who had come to see if this was real. 6 months ago, I was successful but lost, 60 years old, widowed, working 80 hours a week because I had nothing else, making money because that's all I knew. He paused. Then I met someone who asked me a simple question. Are you happy? And I had to admit the answer was no. He looked at Sophia standing to the side with Diana, both of them healthy and smiling. Sophia Hayes showed me her world, a public emergency room where dedicated people save lives with inadequate resources, where patients choose between health and rent, where the system fails the people who most need it, And I realized I had wasted 30 years optimizing wealth when I could have been optimizing lives. The room was silent, listening. This foundation is not charity. It's investment in our community's health, in healthcare workers who give everything they have, in the belief that zip codes should not determine survival. We started with $15 million. In 6 months, we've deployed 10 million. New equipment, new facilities. Direct patient assistance, and we're just beginning. The audience applauded. Marcus continued. But I want to be clear about something. This foundation exists because Sophia Hayes refused to let me waste any more time. She challenged me, believed in me, showed me what purpose looks like. So this is as much her achievement as mine. Sophia looked surprised. She had not expected to be called out. Marcus gestured for her to join him. She walked to the podium, clearly uncomfortable with the attention. But when she spoke, her voice was steady. I'm just a nurse, 55 years old now, 28 years at Bellevue. I've seen miracles happen with broken equipment and dedicated staff. But I've also seen people die waiting. For ambulances that took too long, for surgeries they could not afford, for medication that cost more than their rent. She paused. This foundation will not solve everything, but it's a start. Better equipment means faster diagnosis. The patient fund means a woman with diabetes gets her insulin. The urgent care clinic means families have options. Her eyes found Marcus, and none of it would exist without Marcus seeing what we do here, understanding the need, choosing to help. So thank you for believing this matters. The applause was genuine, warm, and when Sophia stepped away from the podium, something else happened. A young man approached. 17 now, healthy, dressed in a collared shirt and slacks. He waited until the crowd quieted. Excuse me, can I say something? Dr. Martinez, who was hosting the event, nodded. The young man walked to the microphone. My name is Jaden Rodriguez. 7 months ago, I was shot. Wrong place, wrong time, gang violence. I almost died in this hospital. His voice shook, but he continued. Nurse Hayes saved my life, held my hand, kept me conscious, and Mr. Sterling paid my medical bills. $80,000 I could never have paid. Sophia's eyes widened. She had not known Jaden would be here. But they did more than save my life. Mr. Sterling's foundation gave me a scholarship. Full ride to CUNY for pre-med. I start in January. Jaden looked at both of them. I'm going to be a doctor, emergency medicine, because Nurse Hayes showed me what real care looks like. Because Mr. Sterling showed me that people with resources can choose to help. He pulled an envelope from his pocket. This is my acceptance letter. First person in my family to go to college. Because you two believe people like me matter. The room erupted in applause. Sophia was crying. Marcus felt his own eyes burning. Jaden walked over and hugged Sophia, then shook Marcus's hand. Thank you for my future. After the event, after the congratulations and photographs and interviews, Marcus and Sophia found a quiet moment on the hospital's roof. The sun was setting over Queens, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Jaden, Sophia said softly, you gave him a scholarship. The foundation did. You recommended him, said he had the heart for medicine. I didn't know he'd be there today. Neither did I, but I'm glad he was. Marcus took her hand. This is what matters, Sophia. Not the money, not the recognition. That boy's future. She leaned against him. We did something good. We did. They stood watching the sun sink lower, comfortable in the silence. Marcus? Sophia's voice was quiet. What are we doing? What do you mean? Us, this. We've been dating for 6 months. You've met my family. I've met your mother. We're running a foundation together, but we've never talked about what this is. Marcus turned to face her. What do you want it to be? She looked up at him. I'm 55 years old. I've been married and divorced. I thought I was done with romance. But then you showed up and everything changed. She paused. I think I love you, Marcus Sterling, and that terrifies me. Why does it terrify you? Because I'm not young, because my life is complicated, because loving someone means risking loss again, and I don't know if I'm strong enough. Marcus cupped her face gently. Sophia, I'm 61 years old. I lost the love of my life to cancer. I thought I would spend the rest of my days alone. Then you asked me if I was happy, and everything changed. He smiled. I love you. I've loved you since you told me at 54 you don't have time for games. I love your strength and your compassion and your refusal to compromise your values. I love that you challenged me to be better, and I know you're strong enough. You're the strongest person I've ever met. She was crying now. I love you too. They kissed there on the roof as the sun set over the burrow where they had both discovered what mattered. Not wealth or status or youth, but connection, purpose. Love that came when you stopped looking and started living. 6 months later, on a February morning, exactly 1 year after Marcus's 60th birthday, he stood in his mother's kitchen in Queens. Patricia was making breakfast. Diana sat at the table drinking coffee, her health fully restored. The two older women had become inseparable, meeting for lunch weekly, comparing notes on their children's relationship with the satisfaction of matchmakers who had done nothing but approve. Marcus was nervous. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Patricia saw it and smiled. Finally, Diana clasped her hands together. It's about time. You both knew? Of course we knew, Patricia said. A mother knows. Are you ready? I think so. Is it crazy? We're in our 60s. Diana laughed. Mijo, at our age, you don't waste time. If you love her, tell her. If you want to marry her, ask her. Patricia hugged her son. Your father would have loved her. That evening, Marcus took Sophia to One World Observatory, the place they had first really talked. The view was just as spectacular as it had been a year ago, but everything else had changed. They stood at the window looking out at the city that had brought them together. Marcus took her hand. 1 year ago, I was standing on my terrace on my 60th birthday, alone, successful, miserable. I had everything money could buy and nothing that mattered. Sophia squeezed his hand, listening. Then I met you, and you asked me if I was happy, and my whole life changed. You showed me what purpose looks like, what integrity looks like, what love looks like when it's real and not just convenient. He turned to face her, taking both her hands now. Sophia Hayes, I'm 61 years old. You're 55. We're not kids. We know how hard life can be. We've both lost people we loved. We both carry scars. But we also know how precious real connection is. How rare it is to find someone who sees you completely and loves you anyway. He got down on one knee, his bad knee, the one that had been bothering him lately. It hurt, but he did not care. Sophia's eyes widened. Marcus, I don't want to waste another day. I don't want to wonder what if. I want to wake up next to you. Build this foundation with you. Grow old with you, or older anyway. He pulled out the ring. Simple, elegant. Will you marry me? She was crying, smiling. We're too old for this. We're exactly the right age for this. What will people say? I don't care. Do you? She laughed through her tears. No, I really don't. She pulled him to his feet because his knee was genuinely hurting now. Yes, yes, I'll marry you. The ring slid onto her finger perfectly. They kissed while the city sparkled below them, two people who had found love the second time around and knew enough to hold on to it. The wedding was 3 months later. Small, intimate, 75 people at St. Patrick's Cathedral. Sophia in a simple cream dress that was elegant without trying to look younger. Marcus in a classic tux, feeling more nervous than he had at any board meeting. Patricia walked Marcus down the aisle because his father was gone. Diana walked Sophia, recovered and radiant and crying happy tears. Jessica stood as maid of honor. Dr. Martinez attended, having fully come around to believing in Marcus's intentions. Jaden Rodriguez sat in the third row, home from his first semester of college. The vows were simple. Marcus spoke first. Sophia, at 61, I thought my life was winding down. You showed me it was winding up. I promise to honor your work, your passion, your purpose, to be your partner, not your savior, to love you for however many years we have left. Sophia's voice was steady despite her tears. Marcus, at 55, I had stopped expecting romance, focused on work, on family, on being enough alone. You showed me I could be enough alone and better together. I promise to challenge you, support you, love you, to remind you what matters when you forget. For however many years we have. They exchanged rings. The priest pronounced them married. They kissed to applause and walked back down the aisle together, starting this new chapter. The reception was held at a community center in Queens, not a fancy hotel. Simple food, a DJ instead of a live band, dancing to the oldies they both remembered from their youth. First dance to Unchained Melody, holding each other close, moving slowly because his knee hurt and her feet ached, but neither caring. Patricia gave a toast. I've known Marcus his whole life, watched him build an empire, watched him lose his way, and watched him find it again. Sophia, you gave me my son back. Thank you. Diana spoke next. I almost died on an operating table. But I got to live to see this day, to see my daughter happy, really happy. Marcus, take care of her. Jessica raised her glass last. When Marcus first appeared, I was protective, skeptical. But watching them together, I learned something. Love doesn't diminish love. Mom loving Marcus doesn't mean she loved Dad less. It means her heart is big enough for both, and that's beautiful. As the evening wound down, Marcus and Sophia stood on the balcony watching the city lights. No regrets? Marcus asked. None. You? Only that it took me 60 years to find you. We found each other at exactly the right time. Any earlier, we wouldn't have been ready. She was right. They had needed their first marriages to teach them what love required, needed their losses to understand its value, needed their individual journeys to become people who could build something together. 2 years later, the Sterling Hayes Foundation had grown beyond their initial vision. 8 hospitals served, 2 urgent care clinics operational, 120 scholarships awarded to students from underserved communities pursuing healthcare careers, $45 million deployed, measurable impact in every metric that mattered. Jaden Rodriguez was thriving in medical school, mentoring other foundation scholars. The diabetic girl whose insulin Marcus had funded was healthy and active, her family no longer choosing between medication and food. Mr. Thompson, the elderly man with a hip fracture, had finally been able to retire with dignity thanks to the Foundation's assistance program. Lives touched, futures changed, the kind of legacy that mattered. Marcus and Sophia had found their rhythm. He continued to run Sterling Tech, but differently. Less focused on endless growth, more focused on sustainable success that funded their real work. She split her time between the foundation and 1 shift a week at Bellevue, staying connected to the patients who reminded her why all of this mattered. They lived in Marcus's penthouse, but it felt different now. Photos covered the walls, Sophia's books mixed with his, Diana visiting weekly, Jessica stopping by for dinners, Patricia there for Sunday brunches. The space that had been a mausoleum had become a home. On the evening of Marcus's 62nd birthday, they stood on the terrace where this had all begun. 2 years ago, he had been alone here, empty, despite his success. Now Sophia stood beside him, her hand in his, and life felt full. What are you thinking? She asked. That they say life begins at 40. And? For me, it began at 60, when I met a woman who asked if I was happy. Are you? Happy? Marcus pulled her close. Yes, not because of the money or the success or the foundation. Because of you, because we found each other, because we're doing work that matters, because at 62 I finally understand what success actually means. What does it mean? It's not what you accumulate, it's what you give away, and who you choose to give it with. She rested her head against his shoulder. Below them, the city stretched to the horizon. Millions of people living their lives. Some struggling, some thriving, some just trying to survive. And somewhere in that vast tapestry, there would be a 16-year-old who needed emergency surgery but could not afford it. An elderly person choosing between medication and food. A family 1 crisis away from bankruptcy. The Sterling Hayes Foundation could not save everyone, could not fix every broken system or heal every wound, but they could help, 1 patient at a time, 1 family at a time, 1 life at a time. That was enough. That was everything. Marcus and Sophia stood watching the city lights, 2 people who had found purpose and love in equal measure. The future stretched before them. However many years they had left, they would spend them together, building, helping, living. At 60 and 55, they had learned what mattered. Not youth or wealth or status, but connection, compassion, the courage to change when change was needed, and the wisdom to recognize love when it finally arrived, even if it came later than expected. Especially if it came later than expected, because by then you knew its value, and you held on with everything you had. The end.